today we're going to talk about people platform. Before I start, you see my new T-shirt?
Yeah, very nice.
All ready for the conference. So
when will I get mine in the post?
Yeah, unfortunately, we need to get them distributed out, so that's my fault. So be with you in the next couple of days, hopefully. Great. So Rich, I want to talk to you about people platform. It's a thing that people have been asking us about. Unit4 have been talking about people platform for the last few months. We've had a number of our clients come back to us and ask us what people platform was. We've had people asking, is people platform a new product? Is people platform a new marketing ploy? And actually, the more we're looking at this now, people platforms. Actually, I want to ask you to tell me what people platform is, rather than me sort of jumping in.
Yeah, sure thing. I mean, I will agree with you. The word people platform has been thrown around for the last 4 or 5 years, as well as other words such as wonder and the experiences and stuff. And it is very confusing, I would say. It's taken me a while to sort of get my head around it personally, but from I think I've worked it out, and the easiest way to describe it is to describe it, people platform, as an ecosystem, or better yet, as a collection of products and services that will be available for Unit4 users and anyone who uses a Unit4 application. So not just Unit4 Business World, but maybe the other products, such as the sort of the training and the applicant management system. The whole purpose of it is to sort of obviously it's a new service offering, but it's there to enable a swift transition from a monolithic to a microservice-based environment. Now, in the past, the words monolithic, it sort of implies like you have one application where you sort of log into it and you do all your activities. So you raise your timesheets, your requisitions, you check on the general ledger inquiries and so on like that. Whereas a microservice-based sort of construct is you sort of have a single application which services one thing. So like a single application you log in to do just your requisitions. Now, the whole people platform comprises of multiple elements. You've got the identity services, which allows you to have single sign-on experiences and integration with providers such as Office 365, which I do want to show that because it's such a nifty thing. You've got Message Hub, which is a little bit technical, so I'm going to sort of just glaze over that and not put too much details. Wonder, which is, again, another one of those sort of what I originally thought was a bit of a marketing gimmick, but over the last 4 or 5 years, but has proven itself to be very good. Extension kits and integration kits. They all could work together in sort of unison to provide solutions for complex business requirements. And the main point is, the other point is, it's going to be available for on-site hosted customers as well as Unit4 cloud providers.
Okay, that's great, because we were led to believe at one point this is only SaaS, but if it's on-site as well, that gives more flexibility. But anyway, let's move on.
Definitely.
So it's one of those things. I'm more of, rather than tell me about it, show me. So I'm sure you're going to do that, and it will stick with me.
Yes.
This is a Unit4 diagram, which I'm sure you'll talk to.
Yes, there's a lot of information on there. It's kind of complicated, but really the whole point is what it's trying to demonstrate is at the bottom you've got the various Unit4 applications like HCM, Unit4 ERP, FP&A, student management. You've got external applications on the far right, and the whole thing which ties everything together is the Unit4 people platform. Everything exists within this sort of microcosm of services, this ecosystem.
Okay, so let's do the test. So identity service, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to tell me about identity service, and then we'll see it in action.
Okay, so identity services, it allows it's just a really great concept where for all these applications existing within the ecosystem, everyone will be able to log in using the same set of credentials, and that can be provided by various sort of providers such as Azure, Office 365, or some OpenID, which is AD integration. it is a major game changer, because in the past it's sort of been the case of you've always had to have business world credentials and have this working seamless, especially in a sort of remote working environment. It just makes it such a boon to the business.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're going to show it in a bit, but for where I come from a user audit perspective, it's always been a bit of a CIO headache. So CIOs can actually sleep easy at night now, knowing that Unit4, from a Unit4 application perspective, they're not going to have the risk of user audits. But actually, let's demonstrate that, and that'll probably sort of come into play. So this is a slide that Richard put together, and I think this really brings Unit4 application to the 21st century, working in unison with things like Microsoft 365. So this slide is basically demonstrating someone logging, or Richard logging into his 365 account, and that's launching Unit4 ERP. Because that wasn't possible before. That was two sort of sector authorizations, and even single sign-on was single sign-on of an AD account. This is all through 365, sort of externally hosted.
It is a massive game changer. It brings Unit4 right up to date, and this is, I strongly recommend that as many organizations try to incorporate this as quickly as possible, because no more password resets, strong password network, compliance. You comply with your IT policies. It's phenomenally. It is amazing.
Yeah. So, Rich, that IDS thing, I think that, again, as you said, that's a game changer. And this is something that's, as I know you mentioned this at the sort of start of the call, we talked about Wonder, and is Wonder a gimmick? And actually, the more and more I'm seeing of it, it's actually not a gimmick, and it's probably got a lot of real life use. I mean, I use my Apple iPhone for Siri. I'm starting to get used to it now, even at my age. But if I take my young kids, they use, they don't sort of input into the phone anymore. They use Siri for absolutely everything. We got an Amazon Echo at home, and Alexa's our sort of second best friend at home.
Oh, don't ever say that word on a recording.
Why?
Because everyone's probably having their Alexa talk to them right now.
Alexa. No, she isn't.
Yeah, she's not listening. Don't worry. Not always.
Yeah. No one listens to me anyway. That's another show your dog story. So, Rich, tell me about Wonder, and what you think it sort of where it sits from a technical perspective.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the last 4 or 5 years, I'll be the first one to admit, I've always rolled my eyes like, oh god, they're going to show us Wonder again at the conferences, and oh, when's that going to be? I always feel it's a bit of like vaporware, like it's never going to come around. But having hands-on exposure to it this year has sort of opened my eyes to what it can do. I don't see it replacing, for heavy users, I don't really see it becoming like a first point of call. But again, this is the whole paradigm shift where we're moving towards microservices. You now got people being requested to act upon requests of information, respond to an action a request, rather than sort of logging into an application. And Wonder is a fantastic application which sits in Teams, which allows you to sort of do very simple tasks and sort of interact with simple natural languages. It's got, it works with quite a few sort of chat programs, including Slack, Skype, Teams, and Messenger. And it has quite a lot of good features, and I'm hoping to see a lot of new features as well in the future.
So I know you put together some slide packs here. So here's, this is the geek you sort of turning over, isn't it?
Oh yes, I had to throw something from my childhood in. So text adventures, the idea here is just trying to demonstrate that the whole concept of using natural language whilst communicating with computers has been a desire for a very long time. In the old days, we used to have to write. You have to write things very low level, and you sort of get away from the complexity. But to actually have the ability to interact and have a conversation with an AI or an application is the next level, and it's where the whole microservices is going to be coming on in the future.
So who needs real friends in the future, right? So I do like this one. I know you tried to demonstrate here. Actually, we'll play this video and you can talk to it.
So let me just walk you through this. So this is just a little demo we got of us setting up Wanda for Teams and how simple it can be to set up. So we go to the Microsoft Teams, search the app Wanda, and we install it. And this immediately, Wanda's now usable from your application. You still have to log in and certify your credentials afterwards using the sign-in functionality, but you can see how quick it was for us to get it all up and running. And for an end user who is an infrequent user of Aggresso, of Unit4 ERP, I should say, this can help them get used to having to, approve a timesheet or making simple requests. So I can see a lot of benefits for light users of business world using Wanda instead of going to the web to an action.
And this is a good example of Internet of Things. So here we got a chat function in its simplest form, powered by Unit4 ERP. This person is doing some simple requests. They've not had to be trained on the application, but they're still functioning, they're still approving, they're still requesting, all through Microsoft Teams. It's definitely a game changer.
Especially, it's a very good point. The fact that when a new person joins the organization, they probably use Teams or the chat application, or at the very least will be trained to use Microsoft Teams or Skype or whatever. And so therefore it's the same interface, they're used to it. They know that, oh, something's pinged up to me, I need to respond to it. So, and especially again, the whole remote working future that it will be going down, this integrates really nicely that approach.
Yeah, absolutely. So the only thing that's missing from this is some kind of a micro function to actually sort of say, Wanda, do something for me. So that's I know they've tried a few things before by integrating via an Alexa app, but that's probably version 2.0.
Again, this is over the next decade. We're talking about Unit4. The paradigm shift is moving towards microservices. Over the next 10 years, I would see this becoming more and more intelligent and sort of learning behavior, like behavior pattern learning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, full AI. So Rich, we've done Wanda, we've done IDS. The next one is extension kit. And actually, I think what we're going to do here is, you've been promising to show me this, is integrating or actually connecting what was a standard supply master file with the company's house register for address validation.
So really what I want to do here is demonstrate it in action and then show you very quickly how we built it, because a live demonstration paints a lot more than loads of slides and screenshots. Having someone show you walking around the application is always a lot better. So let me show it to you now.
Over to you, Rich.
So I'm going to demonstrate the extension toolkit, and in particular the integration that we've set up for Company House. Now, for our non-UK users, Company House is a registry of all the companies that exist within the United Kingdom, incorporated inside the United Kingdom. It holds the addresses, filing informations, and quite a lot of information. So here we have I pulled up the company information for Equitix Healthcare. We've got the addresses, company registration number, and so. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into Business World using IDS.
Yeah. You can't help yourself now, can you, Rich?
I'm a convert now. I'm going to load up the supplier master file. So, and this is our company here.
Yeah.
So what our extension that we've created does is, at the moment, the name and the address is set to the value which is for Equitix. What we done the extension kit to do, what we decided to do was, based on the company registration number, it will update the supplier name and the address.
Right.
And that's post save. This is really good for auditors because all you got to do now is just ensure the company registration number is populated and all the rest of it is sort of taken care of.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change this number from Equitix to the one used for Unit 4. I'm going to press save. Then I'm going to type in that number again. And you see how fast that changed?
Right.
Change has occurred. You see how fast that same number is now says Unit 4 Business Software Limited.
Yeah. And
the address has been changed to the one in Reading. I will make an observation that the cache data still shows Equitix, but this is standard Unit 4 functionality. And if I was to change the software name, the supplier name, the same issue would occur. This is just an issue with caching, but the main record in the database has been updated, and we saw how fast that was. Again, changing that number back to the old one, like that. So what I want to show now is just the integration with Wanda and the extension kit. So I'm just saying, I designed the extension kit to, as soon as it's made the change, for it to contact the person who made the change and to say, hi, for supplier ID, I saw that this is a UK company, so I changed the supplier name from Equitix to Unit 4 Business Software and changed the address from Sevendale House to Suite 201. Regards, Wanda. And again, because I did it twice, it flashed back and forth. So I just want to show you how fast this is, because I'm really impressed at the speed and how fast it does this. So I'm just going to put this back to the other one. I'm going to press save. Just going to close some fresh copy of it. So it's currently set to Equitix. Change this to that. And press save. And let's watch how fast that does this.
Okay, so we've got a new message real time, haven't we? Really
quickly. It's so responsive. I mean, that was like 2 seconds delay, about 2 or 3 seconds. And it fires me. So the really nice thing about this is you can configure the extension kit. We've just done it so Wanda just says, I've done this, but you could actually configure Wanda to say, I noticed there's a difference. Do you want me to go and change this for you and fix this mistake? And then you can respond with a pre-set of lists of actions like yes or no. So you can say yes or no. We haven't configured it to do that. We just wanted to keep it really tight, but there's so much flexibility you can do with the extension kit that is going to, over the next year or two, it's going to be phenomenal the amount of things that we can build with it. So the next part of my demonstration is I want to show you the extension kit. Pick my IDS account and just stay signed in for now. So nice thing about the extension kit, first of all, is the fact that they are rapidly developing, and every month they have a new update to it, and there's small sort of little fixes and tweaks. It's more in line with modern software development, and this is because it's a microservice, where as the old style was monolithic, you couldn't really, if you did an update, all the code is very archaic and very labor intensive to maintain, but in a microservice environment, you can have rapid deployment of new versions. And so with the move to this, we're going to be seeing a lot of new functionality and releases. So let's just jump in and find the one that I was working with. So this is my company, supplier company, House One, I integrated. And when we load it up, we are confronted with the flow. So I can see the history of what happened. I can sort of see what happened. The one I just did like a few minutes ago ran for 4 seconds, and I can see all the metadata around it. So to start with, the entry point is it's responding to a modification to the supplier document, either a creation or a modification, and then it filters it out and says, I'm going to filter based on the country code being the British one, and the person who last updated was me. I've just done it so it only acts upon my one, and it also filters on to make sure the company registration number is populated. Once it does that, it does an internal call using the internal business world REST API services. There's a lot of complexity around REST API functionality, but it's one of the sort of things you have when you start getting to Extension Kit, you get exposure to it and you can sort of start working it out. This retrieves the email address of the person who last updated it, which is my case, then uses a resolver to get the 1.0 connection, and then it calls the company house APIs with a registration number, and off the back of that, it does a REST API patch call using the data coming from the company house, and finally, it pushes out to the Wanda to say, well, sort of see, it's using all the data sets from the previous. So it is really, really impressive what they built, and I think really the way I would summarize Extension Kit is it's pretty much IntelliAgent on steroids. That is what it is. It's responding to an event and reacting to it, but this time it can actually go external to just the business world application.
Yeah, so the limitation really on this is the data that's available. So in other words, we looked at a company's house. We know HMRC have kind of got hooks into from a data flow perspective or big data. We know people at Equifax are doing similar things. So again, limitation. Am I right? Would I be right in saying that, Rich? It's just where we can get the data from.
That's it. I mean, this only works because Company House has an API. If the external vendor does not have an API, there's no way to access it. But this goes back to the whole Internet of Things.
Yeah.
And this concept's been around for the last 15, 20 years. It's nice to sort of see it finally be introduced and have a way to use it properly without having to code things. Because the old way you'd have to do this in business world and ERP, Unit4 ERP would be to write customization, extension, and program it that way. But now we can just configure it all using the flows, the extension kits, set it all up, get the information, then patch it back into business world using the REST APIs, which comes as standards of all part of business world implementations. So again, this is just trying to demonstrate how the people platform and the extension kit as a service sits on top of everything in the Unit4 business world, reacts to events in the message hub, and then acts upon it and makes calls. So we can actually do really interesting things like updating multiple systems, be it from a Unit4 application or an external provider.
So would you say the way it's created, this could potentially be a user tool?
Yes. So this could actually be exported out and set up on any person who has the extension kit as a service. So they can be set up individually, or end users will be able to, organization will be able to create their own ones, get a consultant to create it for them, or subscribe to predefined ones, which will be available on the Unit4 marketplace.
Yeah. No, this is great. And again, it's a game changer in the fact that, yes, someone like ACT, as you said, it takes a lot of programming. It's never been a user tool, but with a flow like this, again, it's going to take people to get their heads around it, but there's a construct there, there's steps.
And it's like a workflow if you think about it. Like you got steps 1 to 5, and the really nice thing is about this is it's platform independent. So just because you upgraded business world doesn't mean that this will stop working, because this is divorced from the platform of the software. It sits beyond that concept, and that's why they are able to have more regular updates to this without breaking, having compatibility issues.
So yeah, Rich, that was great. And again, as you said, so I think I'm going to come up with some ideas, but where do you think we can use extension kit further than just a supply master file that you demonstrated?
Well, at the moment, the extension kit it has been around for a while, but it's been beta, and it's only recently, this month, in fact, is going to become available to the public as a whole. At the moment, it has quite a few functions and activities it can do, such as sending out messages, emails, and questions to Wander. It can create new events in the message hub, and it can also call external and internal APIs, as well as receive like HTTP webhooks. So an end user could click on an item, click on a link, and it will activate the extension kit flow. At the moment, we have identified and we're working on several products. The first one, as you saw, was the supplier and customer master file integration with Company House. But we're also looking at integration of Google Forms with various master files and the form functionality in Business World. As you probably know, in order for an end user to create a form, you need to log into Business World, and sometimes it's not appropriate for every user to have a login. So integration of Google Forms, where they can go into a Google Form link, enter the details, and suddenly that appears in Business World in the form administration and is workflowable, is a real big game changer, because it allows you to cut down the license of all the end users who are on the system. We're also looking at, we've actually created a few examples of sending out a calendar invite using the Microsoft Graph API concept. So when a resource is scheduled to be on like an event such as annual leave, training, or project work, for example, it will automatically generate a calendar invite for the Outlook, which I think is going to be a real good thing, because there isn't any native support out of the box for that without using People Planner and that kind of stuff. So to have that generating the calendar Outlook invite means you're going to be cutting down people missing appointments and missing the training courses, and it's just going to be so much labor and save so much labor, time, and effort.
Yeah, because you mentioned Google Forms, but it's not just Google Forms, isn't it? So just thinking, we're doing some work with Microsoft Forms at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, any kind of forms integration.
Well, that goes into the whole Graph API of Microsoft. So that will be easily achievable, and we'll add it to our list.
Add it to the list, because I've got some ideas already for you, Rich. Okay, and then you want to talk about the interface kit.
So the interface kit will be coming. Unit4 sort of mentioned Q1 next year. It might be a bit longer, but it's still in beta mode at the moment. And the idea is it complements the functionality of extension kits. The idea is more about creating proper interface between systems, multiple systems. It's really good because from what I've seen of it, it allows you to sort of validate, map, and transform data, and allows you to handle things like XML, SFTP, and REST APIs. So it allows real good, tight integration of systems and feeding data back and forth. Like, again, this goes back to the whole Internet of Things and sort of connecting systems.
And the validation's done within the interface kit?
Inside the interface kit. So instead of having to wait like the end of the day for your flat files to be pushed across, you can have real-time information polling within up to real-time information being pushed back and forth between systems.
Yeah, no, and then the thing I see where this is a game changer. I know we use that term a few times, but the validation's done with the interface kit, so we're not having to pull GL files back into the application. Yes. Only for them to fail. That's
it, because the old days we've all done it so many times. We had a flat file and it falls over, and then you got to reverse the steps back and work it out. And this will change a lot of things, and it's because it's sort of Unit4 centric in its nature. It's just going to save so much time in development and costs whilst creating interfaces.
Yeah. Gone are the days of sort of sitting in an office till sort of late at night trying to load through sort of big journal files.
Oh yes, customer loads, supplier loads. Oh yes.
We're saying that, are we ever going to get into an office again? But that's another story.
So there's one screenshot of the interface kit which I can show, integration kit which I can show. But we'll be having more information of this as it's officially released. Again, just like the extension kit, customers and partners and Unit4 will be able to create them, and also create a standardized solution which customers can subscribe to. This is really good because it means that you can have a standard, a standard interface which is created from one system, a common system, to Unit4. So I've got a slide from Unit4 which sort of shows you when you should be using the extension kit and the integration kit. There's a lot of information there to go through and digest. I'm not going to go through this. If you want to watch this in your own time, just pause the video, have a read of that, and then you can have a feel for when to use one or the other.
I think, Rich, we need to get something out to the user base once we've got access to integration kits. And I'm going to suggest that we get a video out there showing people how integration kits can be used in real time, like we do with extension kits, because that's when it really comes to its form. But I like the theory, but I want to see it in practice.
Well, we should hopefully have something for November.
Okay. And that's November 2020.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So we've shown some interesting things. So we've gone through IDS. I think that I think is a, and again, I'm not going to use the word game changer, but it does sort of bring the security all into one sort of place. We've gone through Wanda, and I think where Wanda comes into its own is into the whole Internet of Things. The fact that we've shown Wanda integrating with light applications such as Teams. So most, I won't even sort of use the 80-20 rule, but most of the population of an application like Unit4 ERP is going to be light users, and Wanda through Teams maybe more than they need. And I do like what you did show, Rich, was actually the quick setting up of Wanda through Teams. And if anybody's missed that, please go back and look at that video. That was done in real time, just to show you how easy to bring those things together. I liked extension kits and a demonstration for the supplier master file, and the fact that we can take things out, so we can bring in things like Microsoft Forms. So that opens up quite a lot of opportunities. So yeah, I think there's a lot with this people platform. Have I missed anything, Rich?
I think you've covered it quite well there. I mean, I think the main point we're trying to say is, this is relatively new technology, but it will be, over the next year or two, I could see this developing and becoming very mainstream. And obviously, as a partner organisation, we will be supporting people, the implementation and deployment of people platform, and we'll be available to help with consultancy in many manners, such as sort of either helping you get people platform set up, setting up the IDS, or just helping you with the extension kits and integration kits. So yeah, I guess just contact us.
Yeah, so during the conference we're on the XVU booth, so please reach out to us. We will make these videos because I think they're actually really informative. We will put these onto our YouTube and sort of blog channels. So please find out. Please reach out to us. Okay, thank you both, Rich. Thank you, Jack, and see you on the other side.
See you later. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Hi, Richard. Hi, Jack. How you doing, guys?
Hi there.
Hi, Harper. You're right.
Yeah, good. So we're all sitting in the comfort of our own homes, getting ready for XVU, the 14th and the 15th of October. It should be an exciting event. Rich, I know you've been doing a lot of work for us over the years to really sort of cover off advanced configuration for a lot of our clients. And I know you've met a lot of our customer demands through ACT. ACT, from my perspective, and I'm sure you've got a sort of greater in-depth than I ever have, has been a sort of a supported tool. Unit4 are pushing it to bits, always have been. We've worked on it through in web and back office, and a lot of professional developers have been using it. So Your thoughts on ACT, Rich?
ACT is, in my opinion, a very powerful tool that most consultants and developers should have access to meet a business requirement. However, it should be considered as an available tool, not the first solution. The main point of ACT is it allows you to achieve non-standard functionality and very bespoke, tailored solutions to meet a business requirement. So again, the take-home message is it should be considered, but only in light of no option that can be achieved through standard solution.
Yeah, great. And I know, so across the elements we've worked on, and across the elements it's available on, so we've done work on menu screens, which we'll talk about in a bit, or actually we'll show off some of the bits we've done. I've seen ACT being used, and I know you've done some work on this, and I've seen other consultants use ACT on server processes. Probably less on web services and workflow, but I know the options are available. It's just really thinking about what the problems are, what the limitations of the system are, and seeing how we can use it. So I'm going to go through some of the, if it's okay with you, Rich, I'm just going to showcase some of the work that you've done for some of our clients. This, again, I won't try not to mention any client's name, but it's always easy to slip into that. But if you remember this piece of configuration, this was, we had a client that wanted to move existing documents from one document archive type to another. So if I remember correctly, this is just uploading new files from one file type how locally back up to another again. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, just to give you a bit of a summary of the issue. For this organisation, there was an audit risk which occurred when they had the expense module installed, and unfortunately, a lot of their employees was attaching receipt expenses directly against the resource master file and not against the actual receipt transaction, which was a major audit risk and ran into loads of problems. So we were brought in to create a solution which allowed us to actually migrate the existing documents from the legacy expense document type and reconnect it to the actual transaction of the receipt. And we were able to achieve this by just uploading a CSV file with the new mapping and processing the data, which brought all the information across.
Yeah, so it was a nice export-import tool, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think we had a pretty satisfied client from that. So it's always
it met their audit requirements, so they were very happy with that.
So again, I've been in the Unit4 Aggresso world, and I will use the word Aggresso because I started back in 20 odd years ago. And this has always been very difficult to achieve, and we've tried to do this, I think, by using things like Accelerator in the past, by just getting a simple report or a simple output of user access and what menu access they've got attached to the person and the roles that sort of sit within them. So, Rich, tell me a bit about this.
So, as everyone's probably aware, most system administration teams, they've probably had a request from auditors to say, what access does Joe Blog have? This functionality that we've created, this tool set, allows us to produce a PDF output of just the menu access that they have. Nothing more, nothing less. It suppresses menu items which they don't have access to and just shows what they have. So instead of like 40 pages being printed out, you now have one. And the really nice thing about this is we can run it for a role, a position, or for a user.
Yeah, and I can see lots of examples of where it would be, where I've used it for users in the past. So we're trying to do this for our accelerator reports, and whilst it's possible, it became really clunky and cumbersome. So, Rich, this is a soft close feature that you've created. Tell me a bit about this.
So this is a solution we achieved for one of our clients, where we had the requirement where they had loads of requisitions. They were raised of requisitions, and the work order or the cost center or various other geoanalysis code would need to be closed off. However, they would still have invoices in flight. Using the solution that we've created, we were able to, the end user is now able to simply set the relation of the cost of the geoanalysis to soft close, and it will now stop them raising new requisitions and expenses, but still allow them to process invoices.
Yeah, so Rich, that is great. And again, that's why I wanted you to introduce this soft close feature. As a project manager in a lot of professional services organizations that I've been working in recently, this is a complete game changer. And I know it's going to create or save a lot of time for their system admin teams. And guess what, Rich? I'm going to be speaking to a number of organizations about this.
That's excellent to hear.
So the next couple of bits, I know you've been doing a lot of work on screen validation. So I know, remember this one, I think you told me about this on the subscription module. And I know this has been a bugbear for many a time. So at the point at which you close a subscription, you can't open a subscription again. So I know you built something where you can go from a closed to a parked status on a subscription. That's great. Okay, between you and I, Rich, do you think this is a bit of a bug in the subscription screen?
Yeah, I can understand why there's a requirement to you lock it down completely, but due to audit concerns. But it really depends on the organisation, and as we've seen from other things like purchase orders and sales orders, if you close them off, you can still reopen them.
Yeah.
So sort of bring it in line with the rest of the system, in my opinion.
So, okay, you didn't answer it's a political answer you gave me. It probably is a bug in the system, but that's fine. But our client was happy with it, so that's always great.
You met their requirement, which is the main thing.
Met the requirement, exactly. So, yeah, Rich, so this is another example of using ACT for screen validation. Actually, I know you're going to get really excited to tell me a bit about this as well, aren't you?
I'll try and contain myself. We do have a lot to cover, so I'm just going to give a very quick explanation of this. So in the top right, we see a scenario where the responsible and the salesman is being validated based on the customer group, but it's actually a soft close. It's like a sort of soft warning, so you can still go ahead with the entry if you need to override it. And the bottom left, we see the scenario of a hard stop, where the content has been validated on certain facets of data. The idea of this is normally a business will set up a workflow to handle certain validations of certain bits of data that needs to be validated, which standard screens don't do to achieve. Whereas now we can actually sort of stop it and validate it at the point of them typing in the data set.
Yeah, and again, these are all amazing examples of using advanced configuration tools just to get more out of the application and sort of bespoke it to individual requirements. And the advantage of all these ACT tools is, as Rich, we've demonstrated time and time again, just because we developed them for one client, we can take this across to other people. We can repeat the use of these things. So that is amazing. So, Rich, we looked at using ACT for screens, and I know you've done a lot of work around using ACT for server processes. I can introduce a little bit about this particular one for a particular authority we've been working with. So, if I remember correctly on this, and you can sort of fill in the gaps, my gaps. So, we've got as an estate management system who push files out into XML, and the server processes we've created has been going out to that estate management system, taking the files out of XML and doing the heavy lifting and getting a file back into a ready format for SO13 to run.
That's right. So this case here, we've created a server process which goes out to the estate management system, pulls the XML file, checks to see if there's any new XML files of the day, pulls it back and transcodes it from the estate management system format and imports it into the business world format, and then takes it in and loads it for the the LGO4 process as a sales order, ready for invoicing. The really nice feature of this is, traditionally, when you did this kind of stuff, you'd have to do it as Intel, set of Intel agents reports, an Intel agent with about 5, 6, 7 steps, which can cause quite a few issues when it's trying to debug it. So this server process sort of handles all that whilst keeping very good audit and exception report monitoring.
Yeah, and I do remember actually, Rich, on this particular one, when we spoke to the estate management provider, because they're a pure cloud-based solution, and because they're quite a small organization, they really weren't going to get into the realms of sort of creating LGO4 flat files or any sort of talking about the system. So the onus is on us to actually do something, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to connect.
That's exactly right. There was no option for us to they would not consider sort of write it in the business world format. So we had no choice but to take that work on and make it into the right formats for them.
Yeah, great. And I do remember this one, and this dates back
this one
quite a while, doesn't it? So I remember, and again, this is something that always gets me. So if you put a password protection on a period, the screen will validate. So in other words, in a G07 screen, in a VP10 screen, as soon as you try to enter a journal, it will sort of say you need to give me your password, which is quite right to do that. But it's a bit nonsensical because you could run a GL07 and post to a password protected period, and there'll be no issues with it, and the system will take it in. So I think if I remember correctly, this server process you've created now, it does exactly the same thing as the screen, doesn't it? In other words, it's saying, give me the password, otherwise I'm not going to let you in.
So this is actually a modification to the GL07 process. So traditionally, there's been a very long-standing issue, what I consider a bit of a bugbear of the GL07 process, where if you were to enter if you were to select a non-closed period, but in the GL07 flat file have the period set to a password protected period, and you loaded that, the GL07 will say it's not a closed period. I'm going to post it to the password protected period. And a lot of business analysts that I've heard of scenarios where a lot of business analysts will actually go out and actually use this to sort of avoid having to and it can cause quite a few problems at month end. So this process this modification to the GL07 process prevents this. It ensures that the password selected in the BIF file if it's a password protected one, it must match the period on the GL07. So it still allows you to do a crawling for future months which are open. It just makes that sort of hard stop if the BIF file password protection period is different to the GL07 variant.
That's great, Rich. So you've demonstrated using ACT for screen validations. You've demonstrated using screen for ACT for server processes or modifying server processes. Where do you want to take it from here, mate?
Well, I just want to stress the point that ACT is a very powerful tool, a configuration tool that is available to consultants and developers and can be used to meet business requirements. We have a lot of experience in it, in developing it, and we have been doing it for over 10 years now. Really, if you've got any business requirements that you think can be achieved by ACT, then please contact us and we'll see what we can do on this front, and sort of maybe just talk it through with you and sort of see if ACT is the right solution or whether other configuration or maybe even using People Platform is the better option.
Yeah, we like a challenge. So we're at the conference 14th to 15th of October. Please find us on the virtual booth, and look forward to seeing you guys. So guys, we'll get together tomorrow and we can talk about People Platform.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Marvel.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Bye. Thank you so much.